I designed a brand new zone blitz defensive scheme, and I was getting free rushers in at the quarterback constantly, but I wanted to be able to capitalize on these hits to force more turnovers. So I wanted to see if there's two abilities I could pair together to accomplish this goal. And that is when I stumbled upon the cocktail of Deflator, which increases ball carrier fatigue on non-conservative tackles, and Strip Specialist that allows defenders to effectively tackle while stripping the football. Now the whole idea with this was if I had two defenders that consistently came free and I had Deflator on them to fatigue the quarterback, and then Strip Specialist to go after the ball when the quarterback was fatigued, I should get more fumbles. Now I had a ton of success with this in-game, but I wanted to test it out and ensure that this was actually caused by these abilities and not just luck. So I decided to run an experiment. I put Roquan Smith, Micah Parsons, and Darius Leonard all in the same team, and I gave them identical stats and traits. So I made them all 6'3", 250 pounds, and I put all of their relevant stats at 95. So speed, hit power, acceleration, everything. Then I made sure all of their traits were the same. So strip ball, yes, big hitter, yes, everything identical. Now the only difference in the three players is their ability. So I gave Leonard no pass rushing abilities at all, so all his QB hits would just be influenced by his stats. Then I gave Micah Strip Specialist, but not Deflator. Then lastly, I gave Roquan both Deflator and Strip Specialist. This will enable me to see if the extra fumbles were influenced by Deflator or if it was all just Strip Specialist, or if neither of the abilities did anything and it was just hits on the QB. Then I hopped into a franchise mode game against the Vikings. Now this has to be done in a game because I wanted to gauge how much the QB hits were actually affecting stamina and if lowered stamina would increase the fumbles throughout the game. Now for each one of the players, I started a brand new game to ensure the QB had full stamina to start the game, and I was always going against Kirk Cousins to make sure those stats as far as fumbling and ball security were always consistent with each player. So the first player I did the testing with was Darius Leonard. So this was the player with no abilities, and I let him have 40 free rushes at the QB. Now to accomplish this, I would ensure he came free every single time and the QB just stood in the pocket and took the hit. Now I would do this 3 times in a row. Then on 4th down, I would throw it deep and get a first down, and then reset the process, get 3 sacks once again with the single player. And I did this because I wanted to make sure the cumulative fatigue from the hits throughout the drive would add up. So throughout those 40 QB sacks, Leonard forced 1 fumble. That gave him a 2.5% chance of forcing. But the one thing I found super interesting from these sacks is they never affected the stamina of the QB. Always just in the normal blue color range and never dropped down to even yellow throughout the whole game, even though he was standing in the pocket taking these hits. The next player I looked at was Micah with just Strip Specialist, and I ran the test the exact same way. I would just drop back and he would come free every time. Now he had a lot more success and had a ton of these glitchy strip animations, and these would trigger without me ever controlling the player, so just the CPU would trigger these animations. Now he had 39 rushes, and in those he forced 5 fumbles. That gave him a 12.8% chance of forcing the fumbles, but once again on all the QB hits it never affected the QB stamina. It would always just stay in the normal blue zone. And then lastly I tested Roquan. Now he had Deflator and Strip Specialist. Now we did the testing the exact same way, and once again we saw an uptick in forced fumbles with 7 in 40 sacks. This led to a 17.5% chance of forcing a fumble. But where I saw a huge difference was in the stamina. Now it took 2 hits on the QB to get his stamina down into the yellow zone. Then it took 1 more hit for a total of 3 down to get to orange. Then took 1 more hit for a total of 4 to go to red, and then took 1 more hit for a total of 5 hits in 1 drive to get him down into the dark blue color where the QB was completely gassed. Now I think this can make a huge difference for your defense, because this QB fatigue isn't just going to come into play when one of our Strip Specialist players hits the quarterback, but if anyone else on our defense gets a sack on the quarterback, this is going to increase their chances of forcing a fumble. Also, when a quarterback drops back to pass and he gets hit, even if he releases the ball down the field, the Deflator is still going to activate and take away stamina even though it wasn't a sack. And then also having this low fatigue on the QB throughout the game can lead to more inaccurate passes when throwing the ball. Now if you want to implement these abilities in your defense, I definitely recommend having having a blitzing scheme where you can reliably ensure that it's going to be 1 or 2 players coming home consistently. But I think my Dick LeBeau inspired Pittsburgh Steelers Zone Blitz defense is going to work perfectly for you guys if you want to use these abilities. I have a ton of great blitzes out for this scheme, and it's reliably 2 players that come in on almost all of them. Now, if you guys want to check any of that out, I will leave a link down in the description below with a playlist for the entire scheme. Now, if you want to run this in MUT, also there's a few things to keep in mind. Now, Deflator can only go on certain archetypes, and I definitely would recommend either finding a run stopping outside linebacker or middle linebacker archetype. Now, this is going to allow you to get Deflator for 2 AP. We also want a ton of speed at these 2 players because they're going to be firing in at the ball, and we want them to get to the quarterback as fast as possible. Now, for this scheme, I am using Micah Parsons and Clay Matthews at these spots, and they're both playing at my defensive end, and I have Deflator and Strip Specialist on both of them. Okay, guys, I just wanted to show you guys how effective this can be in game really quickly. This is in that Zone Blitz defense. Check the link in the description if you want to see all of these blitzes, but right here, we are going to see consistently our 2 outside players, Deflator, Strip Specialist on these players are going to be firing in at the quarterback. Here, Clay Matthews forces a fumble. Vince Wilfork going the other way for 6. Once again, same thing. One of these 2 players is going to be coming in almost every time. Here's Micah Parsons firing in. Once again, Strip Specialist activates going the other way with the ball. Now, here's a slightly different setup right here. We have Clay Matthews. I'm kind of playing contains here. He tries to get outside, and look at this Strip Specialist activate. Absolutely glitchy. Let's look at that one more time. I absolutely love. You're going to get a ton of these. Just a super glitchy animation right here. Boom. Activates. Strips it out. We are going the other way with the ball. One more time, here we go. Parsons firing off the edge, hit stick on Henry. We are stunting on him, going the other way for 6. And one more time, guys, I wanted to show you. Now, these abilities are great, but they are going to be useless for you if you don't have reliable blitzes that you know these players are going to be firing in at the quarterback consistent. So if you want to use the best blitz in Madden 22 for these abilities, you need to check out this video right here.